How about this performance by your team tonight?
I'm so proud of our guys. You know, we took the hit early with Devin Hester, but we talked about it. We said there's going to be a storm. We said the Lord doesn't always bring you directly through. Sometimes you got to work for it. And our guys just hung tough and played so hard. And I just can't tell you how proud I am of our group, our organization, and our city right now.
And a lot of people have been very proud of Tony Dungy and what he has meant for the African-American community here in the United States. The first, and I'm sure you know by now, but the first African-American head coach to win a Super Bowl. Of course, he and Lovie Smith, both in Super Bowl 41. As we say, welcome back to the Power Performances presented by Courtyard by Marriott. Jason Horowitz, and glad to be joined now on the phone by Charley Casserly, NFL Insider, former NFL GM. And Charley, you were at the Super Bowl all week. Were you surprised at all by the outcome?
No, I wasn't. In fact, I think if it had been a dry field, the score would have even been more in favor of Indianapolis. So, no, I didn't think that the Bears' defense was going to stop Indy. Very few defenses ever do. And I thought the Indy defense had played well enough in the playoffs, mainly Bob Sanders' addition to help against the run, Dwight Freeney, Booger McFarland, Robert Mathis, all of them had, I think, upgraded their performance. So, and at the end of the day, you've got Peyton Manning against Rex Grossman, and somewhere in there that had to figure in for the Colts' advantage.
Yeah, you definitely have to. You mentioned the Colts defense, Charley, and that's one of the big concerns in the offseason for the Indianapolis Colts. Not so much the fact that they weren't very good during the regular season, but from a perspective of they have to go out and sign guys. And, you know, you're a former general manager. A lot of those guys are free agents right now. Cato June's a free agent. Dwight Freeney's a free agent, albeit maybe I believe a restricted free agent. How much of this team can you expect to see back next season?
Well, Dwight Freeney's going to be there. They're going to franchise him and then try to get a long-term deal, and I would think they'll end up with a long-term deal. Now, as to their other free, their other free agents, I'm not sure. I don't think you'll see Cato June back there. But I'm interested to see what kind of market he'll get. He's a unique linebacker. He's more of a cover linebacker than a play-the-run guy, so I'm not sure there's going to be a big market for him. Nick Harper's a free agent. He's, I believe, 32 years old, so I don't think there'll be a big market for him. He could come back for them. Gardner, one of their other linebackers, was beaten out, by Rob Morris. Rob Morris has been on a one-year contract the last 2 years. I think he'll be back. So they have lost players before on defense, especially at the linebacker position. As long as they've got Freeney, they got Mathis, they'll have McFarland for the year, Bob Sanders. They've got the nucleus of what they have on defense. They'll continue to draft players, and they're so good on offense, the pressure is on the defense. The guy that will be interesting to see what happens is Dominic Rhodes on the offensive side of the ball, because I don't think he's a big money back at all. I think he's a platoon, second-team type back. I'm not so sure. I'd be surprised if there's a lot of money for him out there. Indy may end up getting him back anyway.
Yeah, and he wasn't. Remember, I mean, when he came into the league, he was an undrafted free agent that the Colts got, and he was platooned with, at the time, with James Monroe and Edger and James, and obviously with James gone, Indy made the smart decision, knowing that they could have him and Joseph Adai until Adai was ready to take over the starting role, and Rhodes, well, you know, they both absolutely had a huge impact on Super Bowl 41. Charley, I want to get your insight here on you know, when you were with the Redskins and you won the Super Bowl as the general manager, that off season, how hard was it to get right back into the swing of things and attack the market, attack the draft, attack everything you have to do the years you don't win the Super Bowl?
Well, you are a little bit behind. Now, the thing is, it's harder, I think, for the coaches than it is for the GM, because as you're going through the playoffs, you really don't have a lot to do with what goes on to the field at that point in time. So you're still spending a few days at the Senior Bowl, a few days at the East-West game. You're still meeting with the scouts in preparation for free agency. You're still meeting with your college scouts in preparation for the draft meetings in February. So what you don't have is the coach's undivided attention at all, because they're concentrating on the games. So you get behind a little bit there, but it's really hard to measure how much it affects you. It affects you some, But it's more so, I think, for the coaches who they get behind in their off-season evaluation, their planning, and usually you don't have a lot of moves you're going to make in free agency when you're a Super Bowl team. It's more so the draft. So depends how much you rely upon the coaches. Indy, I don't think, relies upon their coaches very much. It's more the scouts and Tony Dungy. So I think they will be behind. It affects you some. It's just I don't think it affects you a lot, but it does affect you some.
All right, Charlie, we're going to go to the phones here. Thomas in New York is on the line with Charley Casserly. Thomas, go ahead.
My question is, what did you think about the Super Bowl?
What? I'm sorry. Say that. Is Thomas still there? Are you still there? Can you say that one more time?
What did Tony think about the Super Bowl?
Oh, okay. Hey, Charlie, I don't know if you could hear it, but
yeah.
What did you think? I mean, just your overall thoughts about the Super Bowl.
Well, it's the better team won. The Colts won. I think, like I said, I think the weather caused the game to be closer than it was. I think that the two things about the Colts that are hard to play are, number one, their passing attack is so versatile because they spread the field horizontally, spread it vertically, and Manning is so great at reading things that I thought he could figure the Bears out pretty fast because I didn't think the Bears were going to give him a lot of looks. They didn't. And it took him a little while to get it going. They took away the deep stuff, so he just had a nickel and dime underneath, and the Bears couldn't stop him. And the big thing is the Bears couldn't move the ball on offense to eat up the clock. So.
Charlie, on the other side of that, we mentioned the Colts and what faces them in the offseason. What about the Bears? And obviously, you know, they have the issue. Everyone's talking about not giving Lovie Smith a contract extension. As of yet, Rex Grossman's going into his last year of his contract. If you were in the front office of the Chicago organization, what would your main concern be as of today?
Lovie Smith. That's the first thing. We got to get that squared away. I think the Bears gambled to go through this season without giving an extension to Lovie Smith. I understand that part of it. But what you have to realize now, okay, we went through the season. Whatever numbers the agent was thinking about in August, he's thrown them out. He's upped them. You got to throw your numbers out. Got to get the deal done. Get that set first. Rex Grossman in the last year of his contract, that's tough because, are you that sold on to go do an extension with him? Or do you want them to see him play and then go through next year and deal with it at that point? So that's a tough one. I think I'd still want to see more snaps and let him play more before I committed a lot of money to him.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with you on that, Charlie. I mean, after all, he's been in the league for a while, but I mean, a lot of injury time that he's missed games, and I mean, this year, they're really the only year that he's taken the whole season through. Charlie, let's hit the emails here, and we're going to go away from the Super Bowl a little bit, and we'll get your final thoughts on the season in general. But this one coming from Phil in Carlsbad, and he wants to focus on the Chargers, the team that was the #1 seed in the West. He says, will the Chargers come back again next year? And I'm guessing that means, do you think that the Chargers will have the same type of season next year?
Well, I think that certainly they have the potential to because they have talent. Phillip Rivers will be better next year than he was this year. From free agency, they really have one starter, Dielman, the guard, who's a really good football player. I don't know why he would want to leave there. If he does, they'll figure out it. They'll get a guard to patch in for him. I think the interesting losses will be on the defensive side of the ball. If Wade Phillips were to leave and be the head coach of the Cowboys, who is going to take over and run the 34 defense? That could be a big, big loss for them because they've already lost their linebacker coach, Greg Minuski, to San Francisco. So I would say if Wade Phillips is back, they're in the playoffs again. And I think Rivers will be better, so they'll be a contender right down to the end. If they lose Wade Phillips, it'd be interesting. There'll be a little downside to that. I still think they're a playoff team, though. Real
quickly, Charlie, have you heard anything on that, on the Cowboys situation? Any late news on that?
No, nothing. They're just still going through the interview process. Just seems to me that all their work has been done on the offensive side of the ball with Jason Garrett and Tony Sparano, their offensive play caller, being retained. Garrett will coach the quarterbacks. What I said Sunday, it seems to me they're leaning towards a defensive-orientated head coach.
All right, Charley Casserly, our NFL Insider. Thank you so much, Charlie, and You know, it's never really an off season with the NFL, but it's been my pleasure to work with you all during the regular season, and we'll see you real soon. And we'll see you next year as well.
Okay, Jason, thanks a lot now.
All right, talk to you, Charlie. Charley Casserly, NFL Insider here for CBS. He was with the Super Bowl all week, covering everything on CBS Sportsline, and he and Pat Kerwin and Spencer Tillman did a very nice job with the Cadillac Countdown to the Super Bowl. Folks, you know, it's been a wild NFL season, and it's time to wrap it up a little bit. And, you know, as we focus on the Pro Bowl this weekend, and we'll get into that in a sec, but let's wrap up the NFL season, and let's go back to what it started with. And if you remember, it finished with Peyton Manning, but it started with other quarterbacks and the questions of Carson Palmer, Drew Brees, Donovan McNabb, Dante Culpepper, Ben Roethlisberger, all kinds of quarterbacks coming back from injuries. How would they perform? Well, throughout the year, you saw how they performed. Chad Pennington, he was another one. He ended up winning NFL Comeback Player of the Year. Another question going into the season, how could anyone stop the Ravens once that defense got a quarterback? They got Steve McNair. Well, it wasn't that defense that was the problem. It was the Colts defense that stopped the Ravens. What about the Cowboys? What would they be like with T.O. on the field? What would they be like with Terrell Owens on a bike wearing Lance Armstrong? How would he and Bill Parcells get along? Well, they didn't get along. They got into a fight. Lots of them. Terrell Owens, so-called attempted suicide attempt. And, Bill Parcells no longer the coach of the Cowboys. You know, it was a season that saw 10 new coaches. 2 of them made the playoffs in Eric Mangini, Sean Payton, obviously named Coach of the Year, and lifting the Saints as well. It was a season that had New Orleans and Reggie Bush trying to lift up the spirits of the New Orleans Saints. One that saw the team make the playoffs, have a home field bye for the first time. It was a season that saw Reggie Bush electrify the fans. It was a season of rookie running backs like Reggie Bush, Maurice Jones-Drew, Lawrence Maroney, Joseph Adai. Great season along those lines. How about the season of the rookie quarterbacks? Matt Leinart, Jay Cutler, Vince Young. When would those 3 get their opportunities? They all did. They all did some good things. They struggled. Vince Young led the Titans to 6 straight wins en route to an 8-8 record and Rookie of the Year. It was a year when LaDainian Tomlinson broke a 1-year record for most touchdowns in a season. 1 year ago, Shaun Alexander had 28. This year, he had 31, that being LT, but it was one of his teammates who also caused controversy. Sean Merriman was suspended 4 games for performance-enhancing drugs, a year that Jason Taylor called him out, saying he shouldn't win Defensive Player of the Year. He didn't. Jason Taylor won Defensive Player of the Year, but it changed the way that things will go now, because you can no longer go to the Pro Bowl or be selected as an award winner if you're suspended for performance-enhancing drugs. It was a year in which Michael Vick broke the most rushing yards for a quarterback. Didn't make a difference. His team finished the year 2-7 and out of the playoffs for the 2nd straight year. He now has another new coach, Bobby Petrino, taking over. It was a year when the Lions, Raiders, Cardinals, and Texans continued to do what they always do. Stink! And it was a year, most of all, where Peyton Manning did what Larry Bird did when he got over the hump. It was a year that Michael Jordan did when he got past the Pistons. Isaiah Thomas when he got past the Celtics. Peyton Manning got past his nemesis, beat the Patriots, went on to win the Super Bowl, and a year that we set history with Tony Dungy becoming the first African-American head coach to win the Super Bowl. So it was a historic year in the NFL, one that saw team after team after team continue to be in playoff contention, one that the NFL was very happy with, one that was a tremendous season. The 2006 season went down, and Peyton Manning winning his first Super Bowl. And, you know, we've heard this before on the show. We're going to hear it again, I'm sure, as we bring in Ian Eagle on the phone here to the Power Performances presented by Courtyard by Marriott. I know, Ian, you were there for his first game. You saw his Super Bowl game. But welcome to the show. We miss you here. Where are you, Atlanta? Is that where you are for the Nets this week?
I have a question for the host.
Yeah, what's the question, Ian?
Do you have a personal stylist? You look very sharp today.
I feel like I'm wearing a picnic table for a shirt. I got to be honest. Look at this. It's like plaid, checkered. Who did my clothes today? I did think about that this morning when I woke up and I put stuff in my hair because I got the haircut and it's shorter. I thought Ian wasn't going to be here to make fun of it, so I did miss that. By the way, I don't know if you heard earlier, it's Salami on Kaiser Roll Day.
No, I didn't hear that earlier. I'm coming in a little late to the show after shoot around here in Atlanta, but no, I think you made a very wise choice with your hair and your whole outfit, because I'm not there and I couldn't ridicule you. So, yes, I was there for Peyton Manning's first game, Jason, and I was happy for the guy. I really was. He's gotten a lot of flack throughout his career for not being able to win the big one. People would go back to his high school career, his college career. And now you can no longer use that as a knock on Peyton Manning. Was it the greatest Super Bowl ever? No. Was there intrigue? There certainly was, just because of what happened right out of the gate, because of the weather. And in my mind, New Orleans, Indianapolis would have been a better Super Bowl, but I don't know if you recall the prediction on the show last week. Do you recall the exact prediction?
Yeah, I believe I called the Bears by an ironic twist of fate with a Robbie Gould game-winning field goal.
Yeah.
And you called the Colts, what was it, by 10?
27-17 was the final score I selected.
Right.
On the show. We can roll back the video.
No, I remember. I said by 10. I remember.
Yeah.
No, you were right about that. I will eat my humble pie on that to you. No, we had Charley Casserly's thoughts on the Chargers. I did a little final thoughts on the season because it was a very historic season with all the records that fell and all the things that happened and the new coaches and, LaDainian Tomlinson and obviously Peyton Manning. What are your final thoughts on the 2006 NFL season?
Good NFL season. I don't believe that this is it for Indianapolis. I don't think they're a one-and-done scenario. I felt that way last week when we spoke, that I thought this could be the beginning of something for them. The fact that we get word that Tony Dungy is hanging around, the rumors that were out there regarding Dungy and possibly hanging him up, those were false. I think that this could be the first of multiple championships for the Colts as far as the season as a whole. Exactly what the NFL is looking for. You enter the NFL playoffs, and you can't pinpoint one specific team that's going to run away with it. They're the parity league, and I can guarantee you right now, teams that were in the dumps this year will reemerge next year and make a run at the playoffs. That's the great thing about the National Football League. All the changes, all the roster moves, the coaching moves, it does bring out equality in this league, and I think that's why we keep coming back year after year. There's always going to be some intrigue. There's always going to be some drama, but I thought it was a terrific season in the NFL.
All the coaching moves, you said. 10 this past year, 7 this upcoming year. Couldn't agree with you more. The parity in the NFL is absolutely tremendous. Ian, thanks so much. Hey, appreciate it. Atlanta's a fun town, and I appreciate you taking the time to give us a call here, and we'll see you back on set in a couple of weeks. I know you're not here next week either, but we'll see you back here in a couple of weeks.
All right, Jason, all the best, man. Had a great year with you as well.
It was a tremendous NFL year with you, Ian. I appreciate it.
See you, bud.
Ian Eagle, folks, many voices of CBS Sports, college hoops, NFL, and the voice of the New Jersey Nets as well. And that's where he is today in Atlanta with the Nets, a team, not on the power performances. Folks, it has been a great NFL season. It has been a great week with you here, and it's good that Ian can join us. Thanks to Charley Casserly and to your phone calls as well. The show is always on demand on CBS Sportsline. Remember, salami on Kaiser. That's what you're looking for, salami on Kaiser. Folks, until next week, I'm Jason Horowitz. Power Performance is presented by Courtyard by Marriott. Take care.